Hey everybody, so I'm Carolyn Elliott, and this used to be the alchemical journey, but now it's a new amazing thing because with alchemy, things keep evolving. So now it's sleep over, and I'm here with my very dear friend and truth realized saint, Laila Bernhardt, and we want to let you know about our friendship, how we became aware of each other, how we got to know each other, and what we're doing now. And by the way, we're working on this project that so this podcast is part of it, Sleep Over Podcast, and we're also creating something really amazing called Sleep Over Mystery School, which starts in January 2022. We'll have more to say about that. But Laila, where should we begin?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, here we are in Pittsburgh, which I recently moved to in order to be near my dear magical friend Carolyn, who called me in from the ether with her incredible magical power. I was summoned beyond my own puny human will by the god of your longing to be here. So I would just love to acknowledge the power of that. Your face right now is so precious, Carolyn.
I do love basking in my power. That really is a signature enjoyment for me. And
it's really what we're all about here. It's really, it's what we really want everyone to be about. And that is one of the reasons why we're so excited to share our conversations with as many people who want to put up with our babblings, because we just need more badass, cool people to hang out with.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we were talking about why are we doing this? And the ordinary things for doing things are helping people, saving the earth. And Laila and I we just want more cool people to hang out with. So we just need to transmit more of our coolness. So the full cool detonation can happen everywhere.
And we're generous friends. You don't even have to come as ultra cool as you could possibly be. We are there to midwife you into your most awesome cool birth. So that's what we're all about, because we just really need more people to hang out with.
We do need more people to hang out with. So I was telling Laila about how a few years ago in Pittsburgh, I started to get really frustrated because I have great magical friends here, really genius people, but they have kind of different sets of values than me. I think it would be fair to say that I'm a tantric heretic, that I'm very into getting off on everything, and there's some very magical people who are just not into that. They're very into grieving, lamenting, rescuing, or completely separating themselves from the world in a hermit, curmudgeonly fashion.
Monk-like way.
Yeah. And I don't know, I'm not that. I'm some other flavor. I don't even know what flavor I am until I met Laila, and I was like, oh, Laila's the same flavor.
Okay.
We're on the same flavor vibe here. And anyways, I was praying for a friend like Laila and for a friend like our other wonderful friends, Lucy and Michael, who are helping us do the Sleepover Mystery School. Because they really, really get the weird tantric heresy that I'm all about and that I hope to share widely.
Yeah. Well, meeting you, Carolyn, via your words on the internet was a truly transcendent experience for me. I was living the crust punk, back to the land, anarchist dream, trying to rescue everyone from their capitalist delusions and end oppression. And I was hanging out with people who were all about nonviolence, integral nonviolence, nonviolence to the maximum, let's never hurt anything. And, on some level, I thought that was really virtuous and cool. And Gandhi, who started this whole nonviolence thing, was a real asshole who wanted to give the middle finger to the British Empire. And I can respect that kind of balls. Oh, sorry. Martin Luther King Jr., what a saint, what a warrior, managed to really change the world through his aggressive, nonviolent pattern. And so there was a long time where I was yeah, this is the way. This is how we're really going to get him. Kill him with kindness. But yeah, through all of my very virtuous political activism and very virtuous living with no electricity and shitting in a bucket and like trying to raise my own food and raise my own kid and like whatever the fuck.
Laila truly went back to the earth, everybody. That's what I want you to understand. I never really did that myself, aside from some camping adventures. But Laila was like killing animals and
living in a yurt with no running water, no electricity, heating our house 24/7 in the Wisconsin winters with like wood that we had to carry up a freaking ladder.
You really lived the hippie dream.
I went full for it. I mean, praise my partner at the time, Daniel, who was a radical Gnostic Christian, and we were like really devoted to this beautiful paradise on earth. You know, bowers of paradise was what we were trying to build. But you know, I got into this thing called community rights organizing, which actually has a lot of history in Pittsburgh. But I would go to these seminars where I would be teaching about community sovereignty, and people would like very immediately start asking me like, well, but what if we get in trouble? What if it's against the law? What if they sue us? Whatever. And I just realized that like, and I would say, well, yeah, like that's the price of sovereignty. Like that is what it takes to carve out your sovereign kingdom, is throwing the other law of the land out of your kingdom and declaring that your law is now the new law. And the number of horrified stares that I saw in those workshops just really, I guess from my old consciousness, I would say disheartened me, but from my new consciousness, I would say inspired me to realize that we're not going to change this world of form in the world of form. Like the revolution is going to be in our minds, and we need to do something else. So maybe we need to do magic. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's an astral revolution. It's an astral revolution. Yeah, I feel you there. I was not nearly so committed as you, but I did spend a good amount of time in Occupy Pittsburgh and protest marches and organizing. And
in the Charles Eisenstein Evolver vein of like, you know, just gift and love and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, gift.
Crusty love. Crusty dirty love,
crusty,
right?
dirty.
Unwashed, unvarnished.
Yes. And it was glorious, but it was also, the futility of it was also very intense. And
didn't you start to get the suspicion, Carolyn, that some people were like getting off on like the oppression of the world and like really identifying with their role as like the rescuer of the oppressed, which like if you spend enough time in that pattern, you realize that like, well, if everyone's just getting off on saving the oppressed, like there have to be more oppressed in order to feed our insatiable hunger to rescue them. So this is not actually a way out for anyone.
Indeed. It did start to occur to me that it seemed like an awful lot of people were getting an awful lot of jollies out of the way things were. And so I, too, started to think, like, okay, it's not going to happen at this activist organizing level, like the real dramatic, like total, you know, change, like what it would actually take for us to have a massively different society with massively more dignity and harmony and everything for all. And I did start to get curious about, okay, well, it seems like we have all of these weird unconscious programs controlling us, and that the thing to do is to make those conscious and to resolve them and to integrate them. So I did start to put my focus more into a spiritual, psychological dimension.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful, Carolyn. I know that like one of the things that had been with me my whole life, you know, led me to this like sovereignty activist work, ultimately led me to awakening, was this like lifelong suspicion that like, I might actually be the center of the universe. I might actually be like really at the middle of it all. And for many years that felt like a delusional megalomaniac. And many times I was called the like equivalent of Donald Trump in my own community circles, because I just was so certain that like it was going to be how it was going to be, and that like I really knew what was going on. And yeah, I guess I'm not exactly sure why I'm bringing this up, other than to say that like I feel like so much magic has come from like you know, you beaming your like very clear, like Jungian influenced, like understanding that like the stuff that we're not willing to look at is the thing that we really need to look at. There's been like a lot of magic in you and I coming together because I feel like your, you know, deep devotion to the unconscious and like my deep paranoia that like we might all be God, like meeting one another has really been a very electric spark event.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Like, shoot.
It's true.
We might all just be repressing our knowledge of our own divinity.
It's the divine unconscious. We were talking, Laila and I were talking about Pluto earlier, the Greek god of the underworld. And in modern astrology, Pluto is said to represent the divine unconscious. So like the vast, mind-boggling dimensions that are just, you know, we put them in the unconscious.
So deep and so dark and so like so vast.
So vast, and they're part of us, and of course they include, you know, the mysteries of death and rebirth, and the mysteries of violence.
Why does love feel like it's going to kill you?
Violence and evil and heartbreak and all of these things are our divinity that we need to become conscious of and fully connected to and fully operational with, and no longer seeing ourselves as the damsels in distress at the mercy of them. Right?
So I would love, since Pluto is like such a beloved daddy of ours, Carolyn, and since, you know, one of the things that you do when you leave Pluto's, you know, etheric realm for his hell realm that we're all walking around in, bumping into each other in, getting hurt real bad, punished, oppressed,
So punished.
Devoured, some of us are in the realms of hell where we're like in solitary confinement. I mean, there's so many different realms of hell in this like one place. Anyway, you know, since Pluto's one of the like things that normal mortals must do when they pass from the etheric plutonic realm into this material plutonic realm is drink from the river of forgetting. I'm wondering if it might be fun, Carolyn, for you to share one of the things that you have now remembered since drinking from the river and coming into this life.
Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you for this invitation, Laila. I think the biggest thing that I have remembered, oh boy, let's see how to put it into words. I mean, it sounds a little cliche to say it, but really that there's a joy in all of it, right? A joy in heartbreak, a joy in frustration, a joy and a love and this like gooey, disgusting, unrelenting adoration that flows from the divine, from everything into us always. And it's so gross and it's so inescapable that no wonder we create these immense, elaborate fictions to try to convince ourselves that we're separate and we're lacking and we suck and we need to get this and we need to get that and we don't want pain and we don't want death. Of course we convince ourselves of this because you know, the total all-penetrating love is gross and annoying.
Yeah, and like kinky and weird. Like when you were talking, I just like heard Jesus say in my mind, you know, his little advice of like when someone delivers you a blow on one of your cheeks, like what should you do? Turn the other cheek. And I feel like, you know, so many times that's like interpreted as like meekness and like just, you know, being willing to like, oh, take it. But like, yeah, being willing to like take it and being like, give me another one. Hit me again, life. Yes. Oh, more. Oh, you hit me there. Oh, turn the other cheek. Hit that one too. Like I have butt cheeks too. Do you want to slap those? Like that would feel so great.
Yeah.
And like truly, that's like what we're all doing is being like, hit me again and again.
That's right.
Don't stop.
That's right. And this, you know, this realization has come to me in many different forms over the years and some very intense visionary forms that maybe we can talk more in detail about some other time. But I was wondering, Laila, if for the benefit of our listeners, It really lights me up, too, to just hear about how you found me through the Force of Nature course.
Oh, God, yes. Well, the first way that I found you, Carolyn, was I was Googling just stuff about magic because I was having a massive awakening to what a, like, incredible priestess of death and birth I was after having a very strange miscarriage in a public bathroom. And you know, for many people, that's very traumatizing, ensmallening experience. But for me, I was just like in awe of the fact that like, yeah, I'd had a baby before, but like I'd never had anything die inside of me before. Whoa, like I can give birth to life and death. Like I am a fucking god. So then I was like, we better get on this. We better research this. So I started Googling all about magic. Thank you to the wizard of the internet who makes all things possible. Thank you, Lord Hermes. Yeah. Found Carolyn's essay called, I think it's called like 7 Reasons Why You Shouldn't Believe in Magic, or like the 7 Taboos Against Knowing That Magic is Real.
Yeah.
And I don't remember all 7 reasons, but basically you spelled it out very clearly that the powers that be are using the word, the logos, just like God does, to create this world of law and symbol and, you know, desire fueled by brand associations who use logos literally to control our thoughts. And I was just like, holy shit, she is so right. The people who most want us to not know our magical divine power are the very people who are using that same magical divine power to create the world in their image. And I just was like, you know, I am a person who like reads voraciously. I read thousands and thousands and thousands of words a day, and I almost never pay attention to who is writing them because it never matters, because it's all, you know, stuff I've heard before or stuff that whatever is not that mind-blowing. But I read that essay and I was like, who is this Carolyn Elliott who is speaking the truth so audaciously? And I really have to say that I admired you because what I felt in that essay was that you, like me, were a person who was willing to like feel the eye of Sauron beaming down from you on you from like the land of evil Mordor. And we're willing to be like, you know what? I'm looking right back at you. I see you looking at me, eyeball, and I will not look away. Like, you're going to look at me, I'm looking at you. You think you're spying on me, I'm spying on you. And that just really inspired me. And I was like, I need to know more. What does this person do? So I went to Carolyn's website, and I, of course, was seduced by the free thing that I could get in exchange for only my email address. Oh, what trouble could come from giving a witch on the internet your email address? Nothing at all. She's going to give you a gift, a beautiful gift in exchange for my email address? My God. So I read your, PDF on Secrets of Magic. And I was like, oh my God, this person actually understands magic. She's not just like putting out antlers with like spruce boughs and hoping for the best. Like, she really gets what magic is all about, which is not about the forms and not about the rituals themselves, but is about like the intention and the consciousness behind them. So I was very aroused and very turned on. And then I started getting these magical emails from you about, you know, Persephone actually being a nasty little so-and-so who secretly was very tired of playing in the daisies with her mother. Boring. She was ready to grow up and go have some weird rapey adventures in the underworld with her boyfriend Pluto, who she pretended not to know, like pretended not to recognize. And I was just like, this is a person who deeply understands the value of everything. Yeah. And how, like, all of these things that we mortals love to complain about and, like, shake our fists at the gods and be like, why me? Why me? Are, like, really missing the point. And, I signed up for, then I started realizing that this beautiful storytelling was actually the seductive sales pitch of an evil bitch who wanted my money. And I was like, oh, wow, I bet everything that this woman writes is fire. I definitely want to take this course. And then I saw that she had the gall, the absolute audacity to insist that I give her $500.
500 American dollars.
500 US fucking greenbacks she wanted for this. For what? For what? Some writing? For some little writing? Like, what was I even going to get? Oh, some like Facebook group. Oh, some video calls. Like, ugh, come on. I mean, can it be that good? And like, honestly, if you were really a good person, Miss whatever your name is, wouldn't you be giving this stuff away for free? Because don't you really just want everyone to be woken up? And I spent like the entire week of that launch, Carolyn, arguing with my husband about how wrong and evil it was to pay this money.
So evil. And
then the day before it closed, my credit card magically found itself in my hand, and I, against my rational will, found my deeper, more sexually turned on, erotic self typing the numbers of my credit card into the sales page and being like, okay, I sign up. And truly, it was the best thing I ever did. And within like a day of reading the first lesson, I was proselytizing to all my friends about how like this was the real gospel, this was the real good news, this was the truth, this was the light and the way, and we were all going to get out of here if only we just listen. And yeah, I actually had some like hilarious falling outs with my friends around that money because I was sharing illegally Carolyn's work with my friends and then being like, hey, so like this $500 is a little steep. Do you guys want to like help me out with that? And oh man, I just learned so much about people's like resistance to paying for valuable things and how much everybody just wants something for free. And the interesting thing is that like actually I have one friend who contributed $50, which I really appreciated. And then my other friends were offended that I would even imagine such a thing, which I was sympathetic to because I had also spent many, many hours in deep offense at the idea that I would have to pay for something valuable. But then I turned into a total zealot proselytizer that like, the truth is that you get what you pay for. And, while my beloved friends who I'm referring to and who may even listen to this, I know have like achieved great, great things from contacting you and your magical stream. Like I do sense that like the sheer amount of money that I have been willing to give to this work has actually very substantially made me do it in a way that my pathetic little will and desire to grow spiritually could never have accomplished on its own. It was only the hard ache of like, well, I paid for this that kept me being like, I should stay up on my lessons.
That's so awesome. I love that story. I love that story so much. I love that story for so many reasons. One of which is that I too had gigantic blocks within myself to overcome to charge for anything. And I had spent 10 years in 12-step programs, which saved my life and which are free.
And which are like a hermetic transmission. Oh, like yes. If you want to contact your higher power,
those steps,
figure out what you're addicted to and go to that meeting.
Yes, exactly. And so I had this thing where like, okay, well, that was free, so shouldn't, everything be free? And I guess what I came to is this realization of like survival level things or like that is great to be free, like to have that base level of spirituality of like your life does not have to be ruled by a compulsion. You can be free of that.
Well, right, because people who are in those compulsions are on the fast road to death.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And what I gradually realized for my own self is that things that have to do with like human thriving and like absolutely like reaching your full potential do require an investment in the form of, the currency of the land.
Life energy. Life energy.
Yeah. And, but I also had to like get down with money itself, which is, of course, another fascinating, deep spell created by the powers that be in this world, where they've like concentrated our belief in value very intensely into these like nationally controlled currencies, which is breaking up somewhat with the Bitcoin and everything, but it's still this very interesting spell that we have. And I had all of these judgments about the negative power of that and like how money is used in this world to create division. And part of my reconciliation with that was like getting really okay with the fact that like there's division and debt and resentment and owing and paying going on within myself too. And that money is literally just another fractal reflection of my divinity, of all of our divinity. And that the drama of like paying and being like, oh man, I paid for this and I guess I should really use it, like is a worthwhile thing. And in fact, I had published so many free essays or whatever back in the day, and I still do, that, you know, maybe somebody did something with, but lots of people did nothing with.
Right, and if we were all like super enlightened, then we would just fully absorb the beautiful gifts of everything that crossed our paths. But the sad fact is that most humans are walking around forgetting their state of total enlightenment, and so they need the like cattle prod of the earthly pain of a hole in your bank account to motivate you up the ramp to your own ego slaughter.
Yes. That there's a surrender and a portal that opens with that kind of investment that is really beautiful. So after Laila got excited about my work, I had the great good pleasure of meeting her at one of the first retreats that I put on with my dear friend Crystal Woodling, who's an amazing hermetic healer. You can find her at Earth Star Healing or Earth Star Magic.
Which, by the way, I also was deeply offended by how much you wanted me to pay to come for that too, and was like very offended and outraged that like that would also cost me money. And there I was again, mysteriously forking over my hard-earned money that I was making on poverty wages, living in rural Wisconsin with a family of 5. And there I was, like, spending 3 months' rent on a weekend with a magical possible charlatan on the internet just to check it out, because I was like, man, even if she's selling me snake oil, I love it.
And what we've since learned is that snake oil is the literal best.
Is the literal best.
I was telling,
we'll have another podcast about snake oil.
About snake oil. Okay. But I got to meet Laila, and I got to like feel her, and like her limbic system is one of the true forces of nature on this earth, y'all. Like when Laila cries, everybody cries. When Laila laughs, everybody laughs. Like she is a commanding, entrancing presence. And I got to put her through these kinky game scenarios that we were doing at that retreat.
Oh, God. It was the best, most evil thing that I'd ever done. And I was so, like, awed to be in the presence of someone so insane that they would invite people to do these wicked things. And my only frustration was, like, could we have been more wicked, though? Like, I feel like you're holding back.
I was doing a fairly tame version of it because it was my first, time doing it, and we can go further into wickedness, you and I together, Laila.
Oh, yes.
And then Laila decided to join the existential kink coach training program that I offered. Another leap of faith.
Because for months after going to the Dark Forest retreat and, working with Carolyn's Force of Nature and then taking influence, I was like spending all my time talking to my friends about like, God, I want to teach this work. I want to do this. And like, I'm going to have to rip it off. I'm going to have to steal it from Carolyn. I'm going to have to totally plagiarize her thing. And it's going to be like really inappropriate. And this woman clearly has a lot of money because she's constantly bragging about how much money she's making selling magic on the internet. And she definitely can hire a better lawyer than me. So when I inevitably get caught robbing her of her intellectual property, that will be bad for me. But I'm going to do it anyway. And then as though it were magic, Carolyn announced that she was leading a EK coach training program so that people could get certified to teach her work. And I was like, Carolyn, you are truly a wish-fulfilling machine, because now all I have to do is pay you this like measly $13,000, not even a big deal. Like we can max out our credit card for this gold, because I was already sold at that point. And then we won't have a problem. Then you won't sue me, and then I can just keep preaching the gospel.
It's true. It's true. And of course, so we had about, oh God, I'm bad at counting. I think 18 folks. And of course, all gems in their unique ways who I treasure. And Laila also really stood out as somebody who I could feel on a bodily level was really, really getting it and really, really vibing. And
we also had some good conversations about Nietzsche, too. Our controversial love of Nietzsche.
I love that walrus so much. Oh, walrus, Nietzsche. I feel like the walrus in the Carpenter poem is about Nietzsche. Irrationally, I don't think that, the timelines line up. Maybe Lewis Carroll was having precognitions of Nietzsche. But anyways, then after that wonderful experience of getting to see Laila grow and develop throughout that experience, she was coached by David, the father of my beautiful Eleusis. And I got to know some more about her from, David's little tidbits. And then...
because coaches aren't therapists and there's no client therapist confidentiality. I always knew that was happening. I secretly was like, good. David will tell Carolyn how great I am.
Yes, I got to know about Laila's greatness. And what else? Then I hired her as a coach in the coach testing that me and my business partner at the time, Dave Burns, were doing. Part of what we were having some of the coaches in training do was sell us on their coaching. And Laila sold me on her coaching. I was like, hell yeah, yes ma'am, I will pay you. I know that you get it. I know that this is actually the whole reason that I did this coach training program was because I was like looking at the field of coaches and I was like, I don't want to hire any of these bitches. I don't really think none of them are.
They're not going to get me. I think I've become too weird.
Too weird. And I think I know more than they do. And so I was like, I need another voice. I need other humans to help me do this weird thing that I'm trying to do, which is like get off on like every dimension of my experience and have love for it and surrender with it. And anyways, I hired Laila and she fucking helped me so much. Everybody should hire Laila. Highly recommend. She is very, very worth it. I think I gave you $18,000 and worth every penny. She helped me overcome this really deep, ingrained inner Tony Soprano
patriarch.
That I had. Super crazy patriarch that was like really torturing me, and became free of that and became open to having a polyamorous relationship with David, which has been beautiful in every dimension and has expanded my heart endlessly and like brought us both, David and I, tons of joy and fulfillment. And freedom and like really like the ability to like see each other as we really are outside of our culturally conditioned programming
demands of possession.
And so that was giant for me. And then Laila and our other friend Lucy, who also was at one of my early retreats and who also went through the EK coach training program, asked me if I wanted to do rather, they volunteered to lead a Babylon retreat because I had led a Babylon retreat back in the day with Crystal Woodling, and Lucy had really loved it. And, all that I was going to do initially was promote it. But then I was like, I cannot resist getting all up in this. I love Babylon. She's the goddess of my heart. And so we created this amazing event in June 2021 in Pittsburgh at the William Penn Hotel. We did this beautiful invocation of the goddess, this beautiful sacrament and dance party. And
it was truly sublime. Some of you were there, you know.
If you were there, there was a real live electrical 93 current coming through.
There were people who weren't even there who were posting in the Wealth Forum about how like stuff was up.
It was getting weird. They were in the field and they were feeling the medicine. And that event was very transformative for me because it was I had not let myself do priestessing of that scale. And I really realized, I was like, oh my gosh, the priestessing is what calls to my heart so much, even more than the coaching, even more than the teaching. And
well, aren't coaching and teaching just like the modern like glosses for the priestessing of the mystery that lives within everyone?
they are. And they're fine, but like the actual doing of the actual beautiful ritual and the touching of the divine in that way is so exciting to me. And so anyways, so I got to know Laila and Lucy and our other beautiful friend, Michael Smith, who came from Washington to help us.
And we were standing outside in like downtown Pittsburgh with these like beautiful buildings that like the Golden Age built, smoking cigarettes, being like, oh, it's just like the old days in Alexandria, isn't it? I mean, we had all these adoring students coming to our amazing, crazy lectures on whatever it is that we want to talk about. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was a wonderful remembering.
It was a very powerful remembering. And I was pulling cards at the time, you know, and like I would always get the Four of Wands in reference to us. And I was like, oh wow, we're the Four of Wands, we're completion, like this intense, you know, energy meeting. So so we continued to talk and we formed a coven, and we've been doing other magical workings. And we realized that we wanted to put on a full blast mystery school. So the program that used to be Game of Sovereigns, the Existential Kink Coach Training Program, is becoming Sleepover Mystery School. So we're not certifying coaches. We will be giving plenty of kinky fun.
We'll be teaching plenty of great techniques for waking yourself up, which for the person who gets off on that kind of thing could be used to help wake other people up. Mm-hmm. But we're really teaching self-sovereignty, which means that you don't need an authority to tell you that you're allowed to teach what you know.
Yes. Part of the problem with me running a coach certification program is that I actually don't care about certification on any level.
When Carolyn was a professor, she just gave everyone in her classes A's.
I did.
She's not really into like putting people through the fine strainer of quality testing and evaluation and judging them against her standards. It's not what the divine does, truly. The divine does not judge whether we are good enough. Like we are all good enough.
So by the way, if you're listening and you want to teach other people existential kink, please do so. Just tell them to read my book and subscribe to my website, my email list, whatever. And teach, share as much
Spread
as
the
you
good
want.
word.
Spread the good word. Yeah, so I'm excited because now Laila made the radical decision to move to Pittsburgh. And she's been hanging out with me at my house, which I am endlessly grateful for, because over this summer that we've been hanging out, Layla's gnosis, her awakening, has come to this really exciting flowering that is absolutely inspirational to me. And her lived integration of these principles is something that I myself want more of, and that I want more of for all other people. And I'm just really thrilled to be collaborating with you, Laila, because I feel like when people encounter you, they are encountering the real. Like, the real. Like, this woman knows she's an eternal soul who is eternally self-loving and self-fulfilling, and also passionately, heartbreakingly in love with other creatures here, and that they are one and the same. And I feel like I have the same essential awareness, but mine requires some more deepening and integration, and like I have some cultural conditioning that I have yet to get through. But Laila is really showing me the possibility of really inhabiting and owning the glory of what one truly is.
Well, and I would just like to say on that lovely note, thank you so much, Carolyn. It fills me with huge joy to imagine that I have inspired you, because you have inspired me so much. And I would just love to tell the story of how when I met Lucy Baldwin at the Dark Forest Retreat, we were friends, we were partners in the first game, and it was a game where, you know, Lucy got to dare me to do anything that she wanted to, and the first thing that she dared me to do after I had been gushing about how much I'm in love and obsessed with Carolyn Elliott as true genius, her dare to me was, will you go up to Carolyn and tell her that you love her and kiss her feet? And I was just like, oh, Lucy, I am so glad you asked. Absolutely, yes, I will. And that is actually the first time that I spoke to the great Carolyn in person, was to go up to her in the kitchen of the Airbnb that we were at this retreat at and tell her that I was totally in love with her and thought she was a genius. And then I got on my hands and knees and literally kissed her beautiful feet. And I will continue to do it for the rest of my life. Because I am truly eternally grateful.
Oh, my love. Well, it's a circle of gratitude flowing back and forth.
That's why it's so gorgeous.
That is why it is so gorgeous. And
it's not even really enough for both of us. Honestly, I feel like we would just love to share it with as many people who want to be in the field of it. I mean, listening to you talk just then, Carolyn, I was like, wow, this Carolyn is really an amazing being, because don't you know so many people who could write a book about something that they're an expert about and then encounter someone who perhaps embodies that even more than they do and be like, forget about this person. This person is like totally a threat to like my expertise and my authority, and they should get the hell away from me because it's going to make me look bad. And like, you just don't. You're like, oh my God, thank you. Like, you know, the number of times that I have quoted Carolyn Elliott to Carolyn Elliott herself is like truly hilarious. And like,
well, it is amazing. So I should, in full honesty, the thought has crossed my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna let Laila loose on the world, and then what if it's just the Laila show then? And then I was just like, people want the full show. They want the Laila and the Carolyn and the Lucy and the Michaels. They want the full show.
Carolyn, it was the Laila show for the first 36 years of my life. And what did I do? I spent most of my time like getting stoned and sitting in my room, like thinking great thoughts and then allowing them to just wash down the drain of my ever evolving consciousness. And it was only your like truly ambitious, world conquering Capricornian King Kunta of a self that was willing to be like, you know what, maybe I don't fully like live it every day, but I know that it's true.
Yeah.
And like, would I have done that? No, I would still be getting stoned in my bedroom in Wisconsin, like,
well, thank you,
feeling
my love.
lonely.
And this is part of another reason why whatever graciousness you perceive from me, that graciousness is because I don't think we talked about this yet here on this recording, but like, truly, everybody, I want everybody listening to know that I was down on my knees praying for a real spiritual friend who like could really see through my bullshit and really tell me about myself when I was off of the path, and also, fucking love me and
obviously,
and appreciate what was great about me and have lots of fun together and dance and listen to hot music and talk about hot guys and
read tarot cards until our eyes fall out.
Exactly. That's what I was praying for. And my other friends are magnificent, each in their own way, and aren't quite the flavor of wickedness that I was asking for. And Laila is the full flavor of both heartbreaking spiritual joy and endless, fathomless wickedness that really... Inappropriate desire and like non-judgment. In this moment, I'm feeling compelled to give a shout out to my mom, who died in the course of this wonderful story, who I feel essentially raised me with the tenet of our most holy saint, Aleister Crowley, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. And she never used those words exactly, but you once said to me in a very flippant fashion to answer one of my anxious questions, well, Laila, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. And in that moment, I was like, oh, shoot, I was raised by a closet Thelemite who really understood that, like, you're going to do what you want to do no matter what. You know, I had the same realization about my mom too. Bless her, Linda Elliott. Linda Elliott, you're awesome. Linda Elliott never ever tried to stop me from doing like anything.
Never. My mom freaking enabled me in some of the things that I wanted to do that were totally inappropriate and even illegal. Like my mom was the illegal enabler of all kinds of things that I willed because it was her will that I would be happy and think that she was cool. So there we were, just doing what we wanted. And I have to say that, you know, I have gone through many, many periods of being like frustrated that like nobody ever told me not to do stuff and nobody ever gave me boundaries and nobody ever told me what was not a good idea and what was a good idea. But sitting here now, I have to say that actually I feel extremely grateful to my mom for her socially negligent parenting that was actually spiritually profound.
Indeed, indeed. Likewise, Linda. You did a great job. And so what is really exciting for me, have my deep prayers having been answered for a spiritual friend on my vibration, is that what is happening for me lately as Laila and I are hanging out is more of my cultural conditioning is indeed falling away, and I am feeling closer and closer in alignment with the truth of my heart, which is deep joy, deep love, deep bounty, deep trickster, raucous weirdness, sexy time. And I'm excited for this transmission to come more fully into the world, because I think there's been a portrayal of, you know, what it is to be a spiritual person that's very anesthetized,
anemic. It's
anemic.
like,
yeah.
It's very like underfed and under-resourced and totally like self-denying and self-giving away. And like, there is a truth to that you do have to give up yourself, but not in the way that one might imagine.
Yes. And also that to me, this is not so much the age of martyrs as it is the age of like just miracle workers, and like what kind of miracles of parties and joy and
weirdos. Like here we are in the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Mm-hmm. Like we all got to get as weird as we possibly can. Mm-hmm. Like that's what's asked of us, is to just let our freak flag fly and do whatever otherworldly, bizarro things come into our mind.
Full individuation. I love that Jungian term, individuation. I think it's actually synonymous with occult initiation. And I love that individuation means individuating apart from the societal soup of like the family and the religious and the educational and the media conditioning, but not to become an isolated little blip, but rather you individuate into your full realization of the unity that you have with all of existence and the deep perfection and the deep harmony that's constantly present with that, and coming to dwell more and more within that, it comes into more and more reflection in the world. And oh boy, it's an interesting thing to integrate the knowledge of emptiness. And I was talking about this with our friend Michael, who also has had like visionary experiences and enlightenment experiences of like knowing that everything is empty. But we can still manage to get hung up on different things that they've just been programmed in real good. And so like taking the time to like penetrate each of those with this knowledge of emptiness and knowledge of like the all-pervading, gooey, disgusting love of God is really fun. And it's really like the only hobby that there really is.
Indeed. All other hobbies are mere fractals of the hobby of self-discovery. Mm-hmm. I would love to share my story of my first baby awakening experience that I had when I was like 13 years old at the hands of heartbreak. I was born with this like very tender, sweet heart that like just fell in love so easily and then just like got stabbed and injured. And what happened to me when I was like 13 years old was I had an internet boyfriend in the early days of AOL. And I was just, because I am just this Cancer moon, tender sweetie, I was just like, we're going to be together forever. What an amazing romantic love story. We met when we were, in seventh grade, and we'll just have this amazing life together. And of course, that is not what happens. And your internet boyfriend's mother talks sense into him that there are girls who live near him and not thousands of miles away. And you're starting high school now, so probably that will be more interesting to you than your little typing on the internet, little fake girlfriend. And he broke up with me. And I was so devastated, Carolyn. I truly felt like I wanted to kill myself. My life had no meaning. Nothing made any sense. All of the matrix of who I thought I was and what was coming in my life just evaporated with one little email. And I laid in my little daybed in my little basement bedroom for hours, just staring at the ceiling in utter despair and heartbreak with the mantra, life is meaningless. Nothing is worth doing. Nothing means anything. Life is meaningless. Nothing is worth doing. Nothing means anything. And I just watched this black cloud of nothingness roll in over me. And I just kept telling myself how life is meaningless. Life is meaningless. Life is meaningless. And I repeated that to myself so many times. And it got so black and so dense and so dark that it started to become something else. It suddenly densified into this life is meaningless. Nothing matters. And what had previously seemed like this despairing lament started to feel like this really hot invitation to remember that life is essentially meaningless and nothing matters. So why not just do whatever pleases you and makes you feel happy and seems beautiful to you? Because of course beauty also has no meaning. It just is, right? And so I felt like it has taken me, the next 20 years of my life to really fully integrate that. But I just really wanted to share that story because I think that is that visceral memory of despair turning into a portal to a whole new way of being is truly at the heart of the work that we're talking about. That all of the really devastating, shattering blows that we all experience. There's not a human on earth that has not been shattered, that has not had their heart broken. And we mortals tend to argue with God and tell God that heartbreak and identity shattering should never happen. And meanwhile, God is laughing God's ass off, being that's how you learn, actually. That's how I'm trying to teach you.
And beauty is truth, truth, beauty. That's all you can know on earth and all you need to know. Well, I think on that note, everybody, maybe we'll tell you more in the next episode. And thank you for listening. I'm so excited that you're getting introduced to our sleepover party. And may you have wonderful lucid dreams at night and in the day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.